Hi, I'm Sarah. Welcome back to my channel where I talk about my journey to sustainable health and meaningful success. If you watched yesterday's video and you're wondering why I look the same, I'm batch recording, okay? This is how I'm going to have to do it because today is a lot of audio recordings that I have found and I have finally processed through, emotionally come to grips with, written notes on, and now I'm here to present it to you. If you are coming back and you've already subscribed, welcome back. Y'all are my people and I love you so much. And if you're new, I hope you will consider subscribing by the end of this video. If you are not familiar with my Amway story, you should probably go on my page and actually check out some of my earlier videos on my Amway story because I was in an MLM for 2.5 years, got scammed out of like $20,000, lost all of my friends except for one, and just had a horrible time. And so now we're going back, we're actually doing some post-mortem of my MLM days, and we're exposing the kind of things that they had in their talks, the things that they trained people on. I really do believe that the MLM that I was in is like a full-on straight-up cult. And I'm going to link in the description below a video. Genetically Modified Skeptic, I think, is the name of the channel, but I encountered his video where it talks about different traits of why MLMs are considered cults, and it's insane how many things they have in common with what this one talk had. So it's going to be split in multiple parts because it's a very long audio, but it's important to get this stuff out there because I actually have audio evidence of people like Amway diamonds themselves talking about what their downline should do and actually setting a standard for their team of how they should act that actually is very similar to a cult. So I would encourage you to stick with this. It might be a lot. I'm going to try to cut out dead space or, anecdotal stories of motivation of how they're so rich and famous or whatever, but I think it's important to really listen into this and to share it and to spread this information as much as possible because, y'all, this is messed up.
Some of these topics, some of these things I'm going to talk about today, I'm just going to shoot you straight, okay? I'm talking to the people in this room who really do want to have a huge business. I'm not necessarily talking to people who just want to, again, just have $300 a month coming in. I'm talking to people who want to create lifestyle.
Which is more than the average IBO.
3 nevers and the cardinal rules. Cardinal rules first. First one, always check upline for the first time. Whenever you do anything for the first time, okay? Always check upline before doing anything for the first time. What's that mean? Let me give you a whole bunch of examples behind all these different cardinal rules and nevers, okay? The first one is this, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Don't try to change the system that's already in place and has been working for I don't know how many years now, okay? Seriously, guys, think about this. I mean, even at the level of building a list, even at the level of, instead of going out there and making the contacts and shaking the hands like we talked about, all of a sudden you can start getting a bright idea about, hey, let me just call some numbers out of the phone book. Right? Did you ever see your upline do that? Probably not. Don't do anything for the first time, but check an upline. There's reasons why you don't. Okay? How about this? How about if you go into a restaurant, you ever see those big fish bowls full of cards people drop in? And you think, man, I'll just grab me a handful of those. And I just made like 50 contacts. Right? Doesn't work, guys. Okay? Trust me. There isn't really anything that you're going to think of that somebody in Burt Worldwide hasn't already thought of over the past 35 years and tried. Right? I know you think that, you might just come in this thing and be like, man, I got a brand new idea and you're a 300 PV that no one's ever done. But it's not the case. Okay? Somebody's done it. So that's why we always check upline.
So this is important to note because, number one, IBO stands for independent business owner, but you're not independent because clearly there's an upline, there's a structure, and they've already adapted and evolved to the different recruiting techniques that worked or didn't work for them. So number one, MLMs are highly adaptive, especially Amway, even to the point of changing their name to Quickstar at some point because the name Amway had a bad reputation. They're very, very adaptive to the different concerns or the different skeptical remarks that are being said. So that's number one. And number two, because you're an independent business owner, that doesn't mean you have the independence to actually come up with your own innovative ideas or actually have different strategies that hasn't been approved by the upline. So there's definitely a very clear hierarchy of things, and you are not your own boss, even when you're an independent business owner.
I remember going and sitting down with Jeremy and Aaron when I first got started, and I said, man, you know what, apartments I live in, there's, hundreds of people. Why don't I just put a flyer up out on the wall outside and say, hey, you know what, if you guys are really looking for making any kind of extra income on the side, you're keeping your options open for outside business opportunities, show up at my place 8 o'clock. I got something pretty good I want to show you. And to me, in my head, that seemed like a darn good idea, right? I'm going to really be able to help some people. There's probably some people in there that could be platinum legs for me. There's some people that'll thank me for it, right? It seemed like a good idea. And then I sat down there, and those guys said, well, I appreciate you being creative. And I'm thinking, oh, here it comes, you know what I mean? And they said, he started explaining to me this. People have tried that before, right? Here's a good example of that. Well, say you do that. Now, everybody that gets started in there, they do that. Or they start other people at different apartment complexes, they do that. And now you got people they take it to the next level and they put these flyers up on telephone poles, right? You guys ever seen those, right? You ever called them? Probably not. Why? Because you think it's some hokey thing, don't you? Next thing you know, everybody's got a flyer underneath everybody's windshield in town. Windshield wiper. And now everybody's walking up to their car in town and they're crinkling this piece of paper up, throwing it on the ground, be like, man, that's that Quick Start crap again.
Quick Start. Again, not Amway, but Quick Start.
Because you didn't check upline first. See what I mean? So there's little things. That's why you always want to check upline first, guys. So, we don't want robots, but we just want to stick to a duplicatable pattern. Even phone scripts.
They don't want robots, but they just want to stick to a duplicatable pattern. This is why you can pretty much bet that if your upline is telling you to do something, this has been being passed down from the top down from like the very top of the pyramid, because they emphasize the importance of duplication, that you're not supposed to do something a different technique or do something a different way. You want to be able to duplicate what your upline did so you can teach your downline to do the exact same thing, and there's not any miscommunication or any breaks in the chain of line of sponsorship in terms of different techniques. So they emphasize duplication as a way of building the business in a uniform way. But they don't want anybody to be robots.
Your upline's using a certain phone script, use the same one. I promise you it works. Does he have sure, look at how big his business is. Somebody in your upline's being handed all that down. And I've learned this from experience as well. We stick to the same phone script throughout our entire organization. It's very simple. It's very quick. Look, people that are looking, period. It isn't about you trying to say the perfect things to get somebody in. That's selling. It's about saying the right things so you can share it appropriately and the right people are going to sit down with you. Okay? So you stick to the phone script. Why? Because it's learnable, teachable, duplicatable. LTD. Write that down. Learnable, teachable, duplicatable. That's what you want everything you do in this business to be. Is it easy for somebody to learn? Is it easy for somebody to teach? And here's a big one. Do you want to duplicate it thousands of times in your group? Okay? That's how you evaluate what you're doing. So like say for instance a phone script. I'm doing a certain phone script and I'm doing a phone team with some of my guys and I'm 4 in depth, let's say. And I'm in there and we're getting some results. Well, there's a guy 5, 6 in depth in there who now, some of the new guys that are with me are with him next week at a phone team. And he's doing something a little bit different. Okay? Just might not be a lot, maybe a little bit different. Well, now, guess what? Maybe this guy's getting a little better results than we got that week. Now, this new guy starts questioning, well, does this guy know more than this guy? Should I do it this way or should I do it this way? Or maybe, you know what? Maybe if I tweaked it myself, I could even do it a little better. Next thing you know, you got a whole snowball effect of that happening throughout your entire organization. And next thing you know, 7 and 8 in deep, these guys are doing something completely different. And there's all kinds of confusion. And guess what confusion does? Slows down growth and tears down unity. Okay? So I know it sounds almost trivial, but it's really not. Because remember, this business is a system and it has to continue to be duplicatable in order for fast growth, supernatural type growth. Okay? So, now, don't get me wrong, too, if anybody ever has ideas about things, just bring them upline. It's not like we're opposed to any new ideas. It's just that, you always want to have it approved upline and have it, all change needs to occur from the top down.
Everything needs to be approved from the top down. He said it himself. It's a pyramid. And the fact that if you as an independent business owner have an idea, you have to check your upline. You have to check with your upline. You have to get it approved from your boss or from your manager. I mean, but no, this isn't a pyramid scheme. Your job is a pyramid scheme. That's really what the pyramid scheme is.
The confusion out. So, all right. Overviews, same thing. You know, I've heard the example of, you know, if you're flying somewhere, and let's say that you're only going to fly, you know, let's say that you're going to fly from here to 2 hours, some location 2 hours away, and you're a little prop plane, you're not really going that fast, and you're just, you know, a degree off, okay? No big deal. You'll probably just end up a little bit off. You got to adjust at the end. But what if you're in the fastest jet ever made, right? And you're going to go about 1,000 miles. You're going to be moving fast. What if you're a degree off and you want to go to California from Michigan? Okay, but you're flying. Where will you end up? The faster your business grows, the more you got to be on track. Okay, or you can get off track very, very quickly. Make sense? Okay. So even this, books. Stick to your upline's recommended list. We want what they have, so we need to know what they know.
I did a whole video on the books that my Amway upline had me read. You can check that out in the description below. But yeah, for 2.5 years, I did not read a single piece of material that was not approved by my upline or was not recommended to me by my upline. So I did not read any books outside of the Amway book list, and outside of, even within the Amway book list, I had to get my next book approved by my upline. So yeah, that was another huge point of mind control and thought control that was like linked to that, is the fact that no, you're not supposed to, if you read any other success principle books or anything outside of the Amway book list, that was a huge no-go. Except for the Bible. You could read the Bible. I don't even know how to explain it without sounding like heretical, but it's like, it's the fact that they limited your resources to just the Amway mindset and just the Christian evangelical mindset. And that's how much, that's the limit of your thought process that you're allowed.
See, I know there's all kinds of great books coming out there, and I know you guys can go to different seminars and different speaking events and whatnot, and there'll be a guest speaker coming in, and he'll say, man, I just read this one book, such and such, okay? It was great. And you instantly, man, what was that book? You write it down. But here's what I know, man, Larry's got a top 20 book list. And to me, I was always taught by Jeremy and Aaron that, hey, you know what, Greg, if you haven't read the first top 20, don't start getting other things. And then he also said, by the time you're through the first top 20, you'll probably just go back and reread them again. They'll seem like all new books to you. And I heard Larry Winters say that, and I'm just like, wow, you know what? It's all these guys just duplicating their upline. And I'll tell you what, guys, I want a business like Larry Winters. How about you? So if Larry Winters is promoting top 20 books, man, that's what I'm sticking to. If the outside speaker, even though he may have a great business, guess what? He's not helping me. He's not going to come in and help build my group. So I'm going to do what my upline's talking about. You're like, man, but that book sounded so good. Who cares? What do you want? Right? What do you want? Do you want your team now? Everybody in your depth starting to do the same thing you're doing? Make sense? Okay? Remember, always think like that. Everything I'm teaching you today, if you just, write this down too. Everything you do to your upline, your downline is going to do to you 100-fold over. And that will keep everything on track. All right? All right. So, here's a good one. Handling negative situations for the first time. If you're not sure of the answer, you got a brand new downline and you only been in business a short amount of time, and they're starting to bring something up to you. Hey, I got this challenge, I got this happening, whatever it may be, and you've never handled it before, okay? You've never had to actually give someone advice on that, or you've never heard your upline give advice on that, so you don't really know what necessarily the answer is. You might have a good idea. Guys, don't wing it. Okay, don't wing it. Because all you're going to do is probably lose trust in your downline and your upline. You know, because you might be off. Here's what you do. Here's the proper way to handle it. Just say, hey, you know what? I got to be honest with you. I don't know for sure. I think I have an idea of what I need to tell you about this, but let me check. Let me communicate up to my upline. Let me just run it by him quick, what I'm thinking, make sure I'm on track, that we're all on the same page as our upline, and then I'll get back to you within the next 3-4 hours. Right? And that way your downline is sitting there thinking, you know what? I can ask this guy just about any question because he's not going to try to fake me out. I know he's tied into his upline, so I can go to him instead of having to try to get around him to go to further up this.
Every single personal detail that I told the person up, like next up in my upline, I knew that was traveling all the way up to my upline platinum, and the answer was being passed down from the top down. So I kind of already knew that was something that was part of their communication system. I just knew that If I told one of my upline, all of my upline knew.
Up the chain. And it creates confidence. And by the way, when you do that, you'll learn properly, because any question that's being asked you, you're probably going to get asked it again. You might want to learn the right answer. You know? So, okay. So don't wing it. All right. Anyways, everything that you do, like if you do wing it, you slow down your downline, man. That is not what you want to do, do you? Do you guys want to like goof your downline up? You want to tell them the wrong stuff? Probably not, right? Here's another one. Pulling your group together. You know, like for instance, we got 10 lakes here this weekend, and you know, a lot of the guys in our team, I've been taught this, that hey, if you're pretty new, and maybe even you're new 2,500, new 4,000 or something like that, you know, you might not want to just necessarily pull your little group together late night or something like that. You want to see what the upline's doing first. You want to, and I'll be honest with you, I don't want some of my 2,500s pulling their guys together, because here's the deal: they're 2,500s. I don't know what they're going to teach them. Now, if they come to me and they got a game plan about something, they want to teach guys specific things, that's awesome. But again, I don't want to get them in a situation where they got a whole bunch of new guys ask them questions they don't know the answers to. Okay? Very protective. We got to be protective of our people, because you learn about 90% of what you're going to learn how to build this business from 0 to platinum.
They want to protect their people, you know, they want to protect the information that is being transferred from one person to another. They want to control that kind of information, and that's what we're getting into. That's the territory of this audio that we're getting into, is the extreme amount of information control that they had. Not just telling people not to Google stuff, not just telling people not to do outside research outside of the MLM, but even within the MLM, there was extreme amount of information control. Another thing I wanted to clarify was that when he's saying something like 2,500s, 4,000s, 6,000s, it's referring to the amount of PV or points that are going through their business, and that indicates how much volume, how much money is being passed through their business.
You really do. You know, so I'm very protective of that. So if you're thinking that you need to pull your group together, always check upline first, because you've probably never really done it before, and you just want to be on track, okay? You want to be very unified. Cross-line spending time together. This is a big one, because you know, in this business team, I tell you what, man, we got so many cross-line friends. You know, Brian Nichols, Sean Mills, Holt, Grant, all these different guys, Herbeck, all these different guys back there, Tom Cooper. We got so many awesome cross-line running buddies that are just phenomenal. They're absolutely phenomenal. Michael Wickman, man, I love hanging out with all these guys. You know, your job is at any cross-line. The only thing you should ever do with cross-line is really edify them or their upline and uplift them. Okay, that's about it. You know.
Crossline, just to clarify, so if you're in a particular line of sponsorship in the pyramid, it goes your platinum, and you know, your upline, and then there's you. Anybody who's in any other line of sponsorship that is not related to your line of sponsorship, that's crosslining. So I was not allowed. My upline platinum caught me and another girl, like this was early on in business. She caught us exchanging phone numbers. You're not allowed to exchange contact information with other consenting adults because they're crossline. So this is all about improper crosslining, the things that you should or should not be able to say in front of your crossline. And what he's saying is, you know, the only thing you should be saying to your crossline is positive and uplifting things, nothing else. Don't ever form actual, true, genuine friendships with them.
Even within your own team, you know, I got certain guys. Say, for instance, I got one guy over here who calls me up. Good example is this weekend. Yeah, we had a lot of people driving 7-8 hours to come down here. Okay, and then I got different guys that are cross-line to each other, maybe in Chicago, and they're like, "Hey, man, you know what? We're all carpooling down. Do you think it's a good idea?" You know, Nate Olson says, "Do you think it's a good idea? Is it okay if I ride with Mark Nathan?" Right? Why do you want to check upline? Hey, look, Mark's being edified, so is Nate. These guys are doing well. They're buddies still, meaning they see each other every week, and they could have just jumped in the car together, but you know, they asked first. Why? Because there's probably things that I know is going on in both their lives as their upline that they don't know about. For it. So that is evidence of itself that your upline knows all the personal information between different people, and they don't want that information to be passed cross lines. So they have an extreme amount of control.
of what information or even who you're allowed to spend time with, like in the car to travel to a conference that might be hours away, and it might be logistically logical to actually just carpool and, you know, save money and time that way, or save money at least. And a classic example of this, and I mentioned this in a video before, but there was somebody who was very close cross-line related to me and to our entire group, like to our, like my particular line of sponsorship, and his mom passed away, and he wasn't allowed to tell anybody, even the people who he shared a car with on that conference, anybody who he stayed in a hotel room with. He wasn't allowed to talk about that or mourn, and he was like a young guy. He was like 21 at the time. I was having a hard time affording everything and all of my financial payments, and I was also having a hard time just keeping up with all the steps and doing everything for the business because of the period of time that I was going through. But that's how my upline used this gentleman as a reason for, like, well, if this person's mom just died and he's able to keep up with his payments and doing all of the steps, then you don't really have an excuse. And that's the only reason why I found out that. And I wasn't supposed to share that with anybody, but that's how that information was transferred to me, was through my upline. And I never even talked to that guy about it. I knew he was going through so much pain, and I wasn't even allowed to, like, talk to him about it or just be there for him, because it wasn't supposed to be common knowledge, and I wasn't supposed to let him know that I knew.
Instance, there might be a guy over here, although he's doing pretty well, he might be having some pretty big challenges in his life right now. He might be having some things happen outside of this business that's going on. And you know, you get in a car with anybody for 6, 7, 8 hours, that garbage starts coming out through conversation. And I don't want my other guy over here who's positive, excited, he's actually overcoming challenges, he's learning how to have a positive mental attitude. I don't want some guy over here who might be in a negative funk right now to dump that onto him. So if he asks me first, he can avoid that situation. And all I would say is just like, hey man, look, you know, it's probably not a good idea right now, but there's all kinds of other guys here. Let me tell you a couple guys you should ride with, right? So you got to protect your group, okay? So that's another thing. Crossline is huge, because we always have so much fun together. It really is. Sometimes it's a good idea to get with Crossline as long as your upline recommends it. Remember, guys, you're not just affecting your income, you're affecting your upline's income. See,
but it's not a pyramid scheme.
If Rob Stammy had some of his guys jump in the car with Mark Nathan's team, and then some of his guys are you know, they're brand new in some kind of situations, and they affect their attitude, guess whose income they just affected? Mine. Not just Mark's, but mine, Jeremy, Aaron, all these guys, you know, everybody in our upline. So it's not just about you. We're a team, guys. Okay, this is a big one, guys. And I want to mention this because a lot of this cross-lining stuff, a lot of the guys in here, especially if you're married, you need to learn to teach you have to teach your wives this too, okay? I have spent the most mental energy and time trying to educate my wife on the proper how-tos and things not to do in this business, okay? I don't expect Aaron Schmidt or Jerry Bennett to come in and teach my wife. I take the responsibility for that, and I help educate her on what's important. Because to be honest with you, a lot of negative, sometimes brand new people, a lot of negative comes from ladies. Right? Gossiping, murmuring, etc., etc. And you got to really guard this. You got to be careful.
I don't know if I really need to react to this, but I think this is infuriating. And it definitely goes to show the sexism that is really, really deeply ingrained in a lot of MLMs. The fact that he's saying, you know, you have to teach your wife not to be negative. You need to teach your wife these different things that she should be doing. And I don't expect any other man to teach my wife. I'll teach my wife. And to say that a lot of the gossiping and murmuring comes from ladies, and there's just so much just within that statement alone that is infuriating. Like, what the heck, man? A lot of the gossip and the negative comes from new women who don't know how to not gossip yet. They need to be educated. So if their husbands are in the business, their husbands need to teach them to not be so negative and gossipy.
So, anyways, enough about that. You guys, by the way, you may not
More
understand
than
all this
enough
stuff
about
right now.
that.
If you're brand new, you might not understand this stuff. Let me just give you a tip. You start getting a bigger group, you're going to teach us stuff all the time. Okay? All the time. Because you don't have a unified tight team like Larry's without teaching this stuff all the time. Because every brand new person that gets in brings their own bag of bricks with them. Okay? And we all, are a product of our association up till this point in life. Man, for me, from 0 to 27 years old, I was an absolute wreck. And there wasn't a cardinal rule that I wasn't breaking in my life. Seriously, thank God my upline didn't judge me, but they were man enough to have standards to not allow me to self-destruct myself or the people around me. Okay? And there's proper ways of critiquing people and stuff. Sharing rooms at functions, same thing as the car thing. Cross-line counseling, I love this one. When you get a couple new 1,000 pins, right, and they're out there in the hallway teaching each other 1,000 PV knowledge. I love hearing that one. I love seeing that one. Guys, look, you know what? Who should you be counseling with? Your upline. Who has a vested interest in your future? Your upline. Your cross-line likes you. They care less, honestly, if you went backwards, as long as they're moving forward. Okay? Now, don't get me wrong. If they want you to come with them, but they don't care as much as your upline does. Counsel with your upline. Don't start giving your own little hallway seminars. I guess is the point I'm trying to make. Okay? All right, here we go. Spending money. Always check.
Before we move on to spending money, I just wanted to mention the whole sharing hotel rooms and how, they do intentionally put more seasoned IBOs in with in hotel rooms with the newer people, and it's for the reason that if in the hotel room the new person starts talking about something negative or starts talking about something that's going on in their life that's not supposed to be cross-line knowledge, the more experienced person is expected to redirect the conversation. That was the kind of control that they had even within the hotel rooms, and the more seasoned people were expected to not just censor the conversation, but even report the conversation if it got out of hand negative. So, resuming at spending money.
How big or how small it is, whether it's, whether it's even if it's just something small like buying a new watch or a new this or new that. A lot of times we'll set ourselves up for small little goals and say, like, for instance, we had a goal of when I went Ruby, I wanted to buy myself a nice watch because I always wanted one. And I figured at that point I could afford it. And I didn't really set any goals before that because honestly, my first goal was never really anything less than Ruby. Because the biggest thing was I wanted to get to my job, and I knew I had to go Ruby to go Emerald. And Emerald income would probably get me out of my job. So I was like, well, I'm not just concerned about going Eagle. I'm going to do it because I need to do it along the way. But man, guys, I've never thought small like that. Why? Because my upline, they're the leaders, and they're like, you know what your goal is? Crown Ambassador. They didn't say your first goal. You didn't say your only goal is just to go make $3,000 a month in this thing. They said Crown Ambassador's where it's at. Along the way, $3 grand a month's gonna be cool. Crown Ambassador's cool. So anyways, guys, you know what? Whenever you're talking about spending any kind of money on anything, whether it's, even if it's buying tools. Here's a good example. For instance, you hear somebody being edified because they just spent, like me. I took my 401k and I cashed that puppy out probably a month in this business. And it was about probably $4,000 or $5,000, and I put all that money into tools. I filled up my trunk completely with that. Now, you want to counsel up. I counseled Aaron before I did that, okay? My finances could handle that. It wasn't going to put me in a bind. It wasn't going to stretch me in other areas. Now, I might have a new guy in here who...
So he took his 401k, $4,000 or $5,000 worth, and he spent that money with counsel from his upline. His upline approved this decision and probably even encouraged this decision to buy LTD books and LTD audios. That's what he spent his 401k on.
Who might have, who might want to do the same thing, but at the same time, his finances aren't that great, and you might not want to just overextend him that much that fast. So you might, even though you got a good idea of putting that much money in tools, it might not be the best idea at the time. Okay? So you always want to check upline first. Okay? Changing or quitting jobs. Why do you not want to change or quit jobs without checking upline? Well, a couple of reasons, guys. One, the biggest one is because of the mental energy it takes. You know, think about it. Switching jobs to a different job, even though you think it might be better, if you just did it without checking upline, hey, your upline has seen this how many times? Guys, you know how many platinums Larry Winters has in his team? I mean, for crying out loud. I don't even know if he knows how many there are. It's a lot, right? It's probably as many as are in this room or more. Probably a lot more, actually, that are just platinums, you know? I mean, I know you guys would like to just have this room just be yours, wouldn't you? How about if this whole room was yours and this was just a platinums and above seminar? Right? Why am I saying that? Because, guys, they know, they've seen so many things. There isn't many situations you can surprise them with. They have so much experience that if you just run stuff by them, they're going to help you out. Change or quitting jobs, guys. Always check uplines first. Okay? Always check upline. Okay. I remember hearing a story about Alan Laniger, man. You know, he had 4 offers at a certain position. He had one where he could be some superstar with a good income. He had another one that was kind of just a little bit below that. Both those were like management positions. He had another one which was a little bit harder work, but and he made a little bit less income. And then he had one that was just like a moron job. You know what I mean? It was seriously, took no mental energy, and he got paid the least of all of them. And out of all those jobs, guess which one he took? The moron job. Why? Because he's not concerned. His self-image and his ego isn't wrapped up in a title at work. He was going diamond.
It's such a minority of the people who actually make it to diamond. So the fact that he just used a success story of this diamond who, you know, ended up taking a lower paying job in order to dedicate more to his business, like, yeah, that's great for Alan Leininger, but how about all the other people? Like, how about the thousands of people who are in the LTD system, who are taking lesser jobs, who are taking lesser paying jobs in order to pursue a dream that they will never fulfill? They will never actually reach that diamond level because very few actually do. But how many people are brainwashed to make these kind of decisions with counseling with their upline and asking their upline permission to change jobs and actually getting counseled and getting advice from their upline to take a dumber job, or like not a dumber job, the guy called it a moron job, but like a lesser qualified job or a lesser paying job. And he made it out to seem like, you know, oh, he didn't need the title. He was going diamond. It's not for a title. For most people who take a higher paying job, it's not for the title. I mean, literally, they try to make it out to seem like, oh, jobs are just titles and they don't actually define your self-image, and his ego was in check. No, some people actually need to pay for groceries, and some people need to pay medical bills, and some people actually need that money. The majority of the reason why people take a higher paying job is because they work a job to earn a living, and there's no shame in that. So the fact that he's like, yeah, just take the lower paying job because you're going diamond. He knows full well that thousands of people will fall on their faces failing in this business and will be bankrupt financially and emotionally by making the decisions based on their upline's counsel. It's despicable.
So he put himself in the best position to win. And guess what he did when he made a decision? He counseled upline. Right? You know, I know sometimes it might even sound like a good idea to take a big promotion and move somewhere else because you're going to make an extra $15,000 a year. Guys, do you hear what you're saying? Do you hear what you're saying? $15,000 a year. Right? So you take this promotion, you move your family, you get away from your upline, you get away from the group you got because you get this bigger title. That's usually what it's all about.
Right? $15,000
That's actually the best thing for your future. Are you going diamond or aren't you?
No, most people are not going diamond, and $15,000 a year would actually make a huge difference in most families in America. Oh my gosh, how could you say that? How could you say that a $15,000 a year promotion is, you would only take that for the title? What? It's ridiculous.
Okay, little things like that. Moving or buying a house. Again, this takes mental energy. I've had guys in my group that have just got themselves in a position where they're building a house. Man, that stopped them dead for a year. Seriously, because there's so much more to that they didn't have any idea what they're getting themselves into. Even moving, man, it takes mental energy, getting everything done, getting all straightened out, learning the new area, etc., etc. Same thing with the job. You know, learning a whole new job position and dealing with all new bosses and a whole new level of commitment to that thing takes mental energy away from your business, away from going diamond. How do you go diamond? You think about it all the time. Okay? It's all right here, you guys. So you got to protect your mind. Okay.
Yeah, they're protecting their mind all right. They're being brainwashed and being actually mentally, socially, and like for some people physically isolated from any outside world than what they are being indoctrinated with Amway. But I did want to make a note about the housing. Yeah, I did have to send over my lease to my upline to get them to approve the place that I moved into after I moved out of my parents' house. So that is actually a very accurate fact. And these are the kinds of things that on the bite model, that the video that I mentioned that's linked down below, mentioned as far as like different red flags for what an actual cult is. And this is why it's like this audio just specifically points out how many actual cult-like practices are within this group. Specifically Amway Ltd, Brit Worldwide Group, Worldwide Dream Builders. I mean, the list goes on because they've all duplicated from the same upline. There's like hundreds of thousands of people who are within this system of this thought process. It might not necessarily have the same name, but it's all built on the same foundational thought processes. And that's why the cult is actually much bigger than we think, and it probably is a majority of Amway.
All right. Asking advice versus permission. Rob kind of covered that already. You know, is your attitude that, hey, here's what I got, here's the situation I got, and whatever you think, I'll go with it. I'll go along with it. Okay? Or is it that you're trying to sell them on the fact? You come in already with a predetermined agenda that, hey, here's all the reasons why this should work, and here's why I want you to tell me that this is okay. Or is it a, hey, you know what, I've already basically made the decision in my own mind, and I'm going to go forward with this, but I want to run it by you simply because I want to try to stay in edification. Big difference, you guys. You got to bring stuff to people, and just with an attitude of whatever you think, I'll go with it, okay? All right, I already talked about that.
So that is a huge part of the mental control, is the fact that you're not supposed to actually have made your own independent decision about something, deciding to move or deciding to change jobs or any other thing within the business. You shouldn't actually have your mind made up about something and then run it by your upline. Like having actually put your own individual critical thinking into the decision and then get it by your upline and get permission from your upline to do it. No, you're supposed to actually have full submission to your upline to the point where you ask them their thoughts and you go with what they say, and you don't have your mind already made up on something. You're just supposed to have your upline do your thinking for you. And you're supposed to submit to your upline in that way. So even like it's a step beyond getting permission like an employee would from a boss or from their manager. It's a step above that. It's not even having your own mind or your own critical thinking. You have your upline do your critical thinking for you, and you submit to whatever they say.
Number 2. Guys, this helping you? Okay. Number 2, never pass negative downline or crossline. Here's the biggest place I see this come in. War stories. People spending all their time talking about all the people that didn't get in. Hanging out. Man, you should have seen this plan I did, and it went awful. I stepped on a cat. The baby was running across without his diaper on. He was doing this. Nobody got started. The person, they came and got thrown in jail, and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And you're like, man, it was funny. And guess what's happening? You're telling that to one of my new guys with him standing behind there, and my new guy was just about ready to show his own first home plan the next night, and he's like canceling it right after that. Because it took him 2 weeks to muster up the courage to go show the home plan, and now you just terrified him. And what did that gain anybody, you telling your little negative story? Right? What did it gain anybody? Guys, look, you know what? You're going to come across garbage like that in anything in life.
All right, so the audio just paused because it's broken up into like 6 different parts, and I need to cut it off here because this is getting way too long. I will resume with part 2 next week. I'll be in the same attire because I'm recording it right after this. A note to talk about not passing negative downline across line and not talking about horror stories. That's actually really huge because you actually do have a lot of horror stories within your group or within this MLM. I have had so many disastrous conversations, like just so like horrifyingly embarrassing conversations with people that I knew and with people that I didn't know that I was just like passing in a store. And yeah, it gets pretty crazy. And that's something that they want to minimize within Crossline or whatever, because you don't want to actually scare people with the reality of how hard it is to build this business. You don't want to actually let a new person know, welcome to hell. You're like, you're in for a wild ride of disastrous situations. No, they want the downline, or they want your crossline and the new people to get in naively thinking that they're going to just be able to talk to the people and everything's going to go smoothly, and they have confidence. And even though their recruitment tactics is so unnatural that they already have fears and anxiety that they have to get over, it's even insult to injury, the idea that somebody would actually tell them an honest story of how horrifying it really is to recruit for this MLM. So that's just the tip of the iceberg with spreading negative downline across line. We're going to get into it more, but I have to cut this video short. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I'll see you next Monday for more of all of this treasure trove of bull crap. Okay. Bye.